Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight.
The immigration minister defends his ministry.
Great news for Conch salad lovers as the Minister of Health gives an update on cases of conch poisoning.
Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Kyle Joaquin. Topping news tonight, Immigration Minister Brent Simonet is firing back at critics who he insists incorrectly claim that being born in the Bahamas gives one the automatic right to citizenship. The Immigration Minister says not only is that observation not true, but those who perpetuate it are muddying the waters of an already touchy subject. Jasmine Brown reports.
Simonet says the fact of the matter is, despite what some may say, no one is entitled to citizenship.
Persons have a constitutional entitlement to apply for citizenship if they were born here and they apply between the ages of 18 and 19. There is no constitutional entitlement to the grant of that citizenship.
Simonet, who was candid in his comments, spoke to reporters outside Cabinet on Tuesday morning. The immigration minister says at the end of the day, no matter how entitled an applicant may feel, it's up to officials' discretion.
What I'm seeing happening is I was born here, I apply between, I'm entitled to Bahamians. No.
While he did not point to any current cases, the immigration minister did highlight the 1980s case of Darcy Ryan versus the government. Simonet pointed out that while the High Court determined Ryan was entitled to citizenship, the court could not force the executive to provide it. He also shot down suggestions that people born in the Bahamas to Haitian parents are stateless and called on people who claim otherwise to stop.
Persons born in this country to Haitian parents are entitled to go to the Haitian embassy and get a Haitian passport. They are not stateless. Okay? Don't muddy the water with second and third generation. A lot of times that doesn't apply. So we have to be very careful when we use the word stateless because it has a very defined meaning.
Earlier this year, Simonet revealed the government would change the law following the Ronnie John Charles case, which dominated headlines for weeks. Charles, who reportedly never applied for citizenship, was arrested last September and sent to Haiti last November. The case has made its way through the court system and is currently before the Court of Appeal. It has also sparked national debate on how people who fall into this category ought to be dealt with. Outside Cabinet, Simonet insisted it's clear that immigration is a complex issue, as he noted that some people have been waiting for as many as 20 years to get status. He says the recently formed Citizenship Committee has assisted tremendously, approving hundreds of applications since March.
We've already approved some 300 to 400 citizenships of persons born in that country since March of this year. So they are being processed.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
After nearly 2 months, incidents of conch poisoning are on the decline. With more on this, here's Jared Hayes.
If you're a lover of conch salad who has been a bit iffy about eating the delicacy over the last few weeks, now may be the time to hit up your favorite spot and get some conch salad.
Go ahead and enjoy your Scotch conch or your conch salad. Just make sure you wash it in water. That simple.
Based on the numbers, it looks like more and more people preparing raw conch are following that advice, with signs telling reporters that there has been a steep decline in the number of cases of conch poisoning.
We have been fortunate to watch a dramatic reduction in the total number of cases, but we did have another case last week.
That's a significant drop when compared to earlier this month, when the Ministry of Health confirmed at least 45 cases of conch poisoning. At that time, the health minister says there were an additional 9 cases being evaluated. The source of the questionable conch was believed to be Potter's Key Dock, with several cases stemming from conch consumed at the popular fish market. Further speculation led to questions over whether a wastewater treatment facility near Potter's Key contributed to the prevalence of the tainted conch. Sands says that claim lacks credibility for now.
No, we do not have any conclusive nexus between what is happening at Malcolm Park and what is happening with the bloom of Vibrio. So while we pay attention to all of the things that are happening, We do not believe at this time that there's a connection between any of the excavation works in the harbor and what's happening with the Vibrio.
The Vibrio parahemolyticus bacteria, which causes conch poisoning, thrives in saltwater conditions. It is believed that a common practice among conch vendors of washing conch in salt water contributed to the high numbers of raw conch consumers becoming ill. The first 5 cases were reported in early July, with that number climbing rapidly over the next 4 weeks. Health officials recall the last significant outbreak of the Vibrio bacteria, which they say caused thousands to become ill during the 1990s. And San says the conch illness isn't the only one on the decline. Earlier this month, it was reported that just under 100 people were suffering from gastrointestinal illness at the Sandals Royal Bahamian Resort. Those cases, like the number of conch poisoning cases, have been greatly reduced.
The total number of guests at Sandals has now dropped to just over 200, and the total number of cases has fallen off to 1 or 2 maximum of any GI symptoms, but no patients at all with the full syndrome.
San says guests complain of illnesses at local resorts every day, but now those complaints are back to normal levels. Reporting for our news, I'm Jared Higgs.
All right, thanks, Jared. Well, the fish fry at Arawak Key may be known for the many native dishes that can be found along the strip of restaurants, but what about some of the necessary facilities nearby, like the public restroom? For many of the vendors and restaurant owners, it's more than just an eyesore.
It's a mess. It's not cleaned properly all the time. A lot of water always on the floor. They talk about it rickety.
Hamish Moxie runs Gone Fishing along this strip of restaurants frequented by tourists, as well as locals just looking for a tasty native dish. But he said it's difficult sending his customers to the public restrooms at the fish fry when they need to relieve themselves knowing the state it's in.
It makes you feel bad. You come up with excuses for it and all that, but you try to, there's all these big functions. You say all these things trying to make it look good, but it's really make you feel uncomfortable when you speak to the tourists, when you direct them to walk, 5 minutes away from your business to use a restroom, and you give them confidence to feel good about it,
Broken stall doors, broken urinals, holes in the roof, and the many pieces of graffiti just about everywhere serve as a far from appealing welcome to these public restrooms. Not to mention broken windows to the restroom on the western side and the poor signage. On the doors, the words men and women are handwritten with permanent marker.
Yeah, I actually don't even go in there like that because the public bathroom nowadays, people, they don't treat the public bathrooms well. You get all walks of life coming in and stuff like that. And I don't go in there to see actually the state it's in now because I've been before and it wasn't too good.
On the eastern side, the entrance to the bathroom is adorned with junkanoo pieces. Inside the male bathroom, it's clean for the most part, until you bank the corner and are greeted with an out-of-order sign. The only border blocking you from the broken urinals, an old Bahamas Carnival sign.
Actually, I feel feel kind of bothered with that, and then actually how it is too is there's no restroom in this area for persons who have books in this area as well, who sell food and drinks.
Lillian Larimore Smith runs a daiquiri stand and is the vice president of the Arawak Key Conch Fish and Food Vendors Association. She said the blame can't be placed on the janitors who keep the bathroom clean, but really those tasked with maintaining it.
The ministry that is responsible for that should take better care. A lot of work needs to be done in terms of the holes in the roof or the pipes leaking, but in terms of cleanliness, we got that 100%.
Our news team reached out to the Ministry of Public Works. However, we were informed the area falls under the Parks and Public Beaches Authority. We then reached out to that authority, but we were directed to the Ministry of Agriculture, from whom we got no response up to airtime. More than a month after the Menace administration launched its Service Lots Initiative, Housing Minister Amal Ferreira revealed today that only 15% of applicants qualify for the low-cost lots. Ferreira says while the Department of Housing has received dozens of applications, the reality is not many can qualify.
We've really had a lot of interest. So far, we've the Department of Housing has received about 60 applications in relation to them. Regrettably, only about 9 of them qualified.
He insisted predatory lending has played a major role in ruining the finances of many residents.
The requirements are actually quite liberal because you're dealing with the Bahamas Mortgage Corporation and there is no bank, there's no financial entity more flexible with the Bahamian public than the Bahamas Mortgage Corporation. The fact of the matter is that consumer debt and predatory lending by some of the other commercial banks is a huge issue, and a lot of Bahamians have been seduced into loans that are unnecessary, particularly Bahamians who can have salary deductions.
The Department of Housing officially launched its Service Lots initiative in mid-July. It was at that time the Prime Minister announced that 10 of the lots at Sunset Close would sell for under $30,000. Outside Cabinet today, the Housing Minister says government lots in other areas are selling for as low as $15,000. But while many residents are finding it impossible to qualify, Ferreira says there are no plans to drop the prices. As he insisted, the bottom line is Bahamians need to get their finances in order.
Drop the price, right? I mean, right now the lots are $15,000. What would you suggest in terms of dropping it down lower than that? So I would say that we are charging at cost. So my short answer to that is no, that's not under consideration at this time.
Still to come on our news. Secretary says the Prime Minister isn't too concerned about a potential conflict of interest at BPO. Plus, the opposition leader calling for the prompt appointment of a new Chief Justice. That's coming up when our news returns.